Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I'm the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we are gonna do a tutorial on my geode shiplap design. This is one of my most repinned photos on Pinterest with over 780 repins and 37,000 replays. So I hope you guys really enjoy this video. There are a lot of shiplap tutorials floating around out there right now. This one is a little different. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna start with a 17-ounce mason jar tumbler from Craft Haven. Went ahead and taped off the top, then sanded the tumbler, then cleaned it and spray painted it this kind of yellow and white design. And then I'll apply my glitter using epoxy method. No real difference in how I apply the glitter for this design than any other tutorial I've done, so I'm just going to kind of speed right through this. But mostly what you're going to do here is apply your chunkiest glitter first through the middle and fade it out, and then we'll go in with the finer cuts on the outside, and just kind of keep layering and blending until we get something we like. All right, so once we finish glittering our cup, we're gonna let that dry for 2 to 3 hours, seal it, and then epoxy twice. If you notice that your cup is still really bumpy after epoxying 2 times, you'll wanna sand it and epoxy a 3rd time. You don't want any sand lines before moving on to the painting steps. So right now I'm just taping off where I want the shiplap to be on the cup. And then you're going to spray paint your darker color first, let that dry, and then spray the white over it. You really want to make sure you get your paint really dry before moving on to this step where we start drawing the lines. When you go in to draw the lines, you'll want to remove the tape on the bottom of the cup and have the cup placed on a really smooth, level surface like a tabletop. And then what I do is I tape a pencil, a really sharp pencil, to the side of a bottle of rubbing alcohol. You could use like a cereal box or maybe like a big gallon of acetone, or just like any kind of heavy level package that will sit still while you're trying to draw your lines. And you'll see what I mean here. So I just tape the pencil to the side of the cup, and then I roll my cup along the pencil tip. Okay, you really want to make sure that that pencil is firmly secured to the side of the alcohol bottle when doing this. And then I just kind of roll the pencil up within that tape for each line, and I do this all the way up the side of the cup. If you wanted to have darker lines, you could do this step with a Sharpie. I used to use a fine point Sharpie. If you do use a Sharpie, make sure that you seal it with a matte spray sealer and do very light coats. This will keep your Sharpie from turning purple or brown under the sealer, and it'll also keep it from turning purple under epoxy. So it is very important that if you use Sharpie, that you seal it properly with a very light misting of matte spray sealer. You do not need to seal the pencil. Just regular graphite pencil will stay put and not really do anything weird under epoxy, and that's why I really like to use the pencil for this look. So once we've got our pencil lines drawn, we're going to go in with a really kind of raggedy old dry brush and some white acrylic paint, and we're just going to make some kind of messy brush strokes all over the area there. Just really dry brush, okay? And once that dries, you're gonna go over it again with a mix of the gray paint and the white paint. It's really important that before you move on to the gray paint strokes that you fully let it dry. And you just kind of keep layering those dry brush strokes until you get a look that you like. Then I like to go in again with my pencil and just kind of darken some of the lines that might have gotten painted over too much. And we're just going to kind of draw in some of the edges of the slats. If you wanted to draw in some little nails, just have fun with it. And the cool thing about using the pencil on this part is if you screw up, you can always erase it. Just don't erase too hard because you can damage your acrylic paint. Alright, so now that we've got the lines drawn, we're going to remove our tape and start with the distressing to make it kind of look like that old distressed shiplap wood. So we're going to use rubbing alcohol and acetone, and using my fingertip and kind of like my fingernail through the glove, I'm going to smudge up the edges of the paint with the acetone first, kind of using like a circular motion. And then once we've got that kind of all muddled up, we'll go in with our rubbing alcohol and clean up what we just kind of messed up there. You want to use 91% rubbing alcohol when doing this. And you'll notice too, when you go in with the rubbing alcohol, you are going to take off a little bit of that acrylic paint that we put on over the spray paint. Don't worry if that happens. You can go in at the end with a dry brush and kind of touch up those areas. And then like what you see here is I'm just going in with the rubbing alcohol and kind of like my fingernail through the glove, making a point with my paper towel and just kind of distressing and removing areas with like as precisely as I can. This is a little different than how you'd remove paint with a traditional kind of geode look, because you do have to be really careful around the edges and how much you're taking off. And so really it's just a matter of going in with your acetone and distressing the edges and then going back in and cleaning it up with the rubbing alcohol. I do like to do a little holes on the inside of the design. As you see here, it'll kind of look like a kind of hole in the shiplap, if you will. When you're doing this part, you want to really be careful not to remove too much, so just take your time, be really careful with this. Again, if you take off too much of that gray and white acrylic paint, you can go in and touch it up later. Alright, so you'll just kind of repeat this process around the cup until you get a look that you like. If you did remove too much of that gray and white acrylic paint, you can touch that up after you're done with this process with a dry brush, and then go in with a pencil again as needed. Make sure that before you epoxy over this, that you go around one more time with the rubbing alcohol and just make sure that you clean up any paint smudges. You want to make sure this is completely clean over the glitter part, because once you epoxy, you cannot take those little smudges off. So do make sure you double check and get that completely cleaned up. Once this is all fully dried, you can go directly into a layer of epoxy, and then you would put your decal or water slide on and finish it just like you would any other cup, and you're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you love our videos, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. We do upload every Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.